stuff. So I'm super loud, so I'm going to sit closer to you.
Okay.
Because I bet you guys are going to be a little bit more subdued. Welcome to the interview show. This is Scott Wood, your host. Right now, I am in the tour bus of a band called Metronomy. I have two members here with me, and I'd love it if each of you could introduce yourself and what you do in the band.
Hey there, I'm Benga from Metronomy. I play bass guitar.
My name's Joe. I'm from Metronomy too, and I sing and play some guitars.
So before I turned on the recorder, you guys were telling me that this is your first time in this van? Is that true?
Today's the first day. Yeah, it's the start of our little West Coast North American jaunt.
So when you get a van for the first time, what's it like? What do you have to do in it first to make it your own?
I feel like we should point out this is a bus. This is not a van.
I stand corrected. This is a very nice van. Sorry, this is a very nice bus.
I just like to imagine the people thinking we're sitting in a small van. This is a very luxurious bus. The first thing you do is you choose your bed. You pick a bed. You have a look at the facilities. Right here we have some televisions, a clock, a microwave, a NutriBullet.
So talk about selecting your bed. Who picks what first, and what is the optimal place for each of you to sleep?
Depends on how much people who snore create problems for you.
Yeah.
So you try and get as far away from the snorers as possible. You make the snorers sign a pact that they will all congregate at one end of the bus.
I think I mean, I put myself with the snorers because sometimes I do snore, but I wouldn't say I do it all the time. But I feel like there's nothing worse than being accused of snoring, because you're asleep. Anyway, I stay with the snorers. I kind of like to be a bit of a martyr on the bus and take the worst slot. So yeah.
Taking one for the team. Well, guys, how about we play a track by Metronomy?
That's a good idea.
That's wonderful.
Hey, this is Joe from Metronomy, and you're listening to the interview show with Scott Wood.
You've got me
Hey, this is Benga from Metronomy. You're listening to the interview show with Scott Wood.
Welcome back to the interview show. This is Scott Wood, your host. You just heard Love Letters. That's the title track off the 4th record by Metronomy. I've got 2 members of the band here in their luxurious tour bus, and I'd love it if one of you guys, or both, could talk a bit about this track.
I made a noise first. The track. It's a track which actually the only thing I do. Well, I sing on this track, but the other thing I do is play the tambourine, and that's the only thing I do.
The day we recorded it, Joe was like full Phil Spector mode.
Yeah.
Like sat in the control room, dishing out directions. It's very fun. It was like my most fun song that we recorded on the album because there were like a lot of people in the live room and it was all kind of recorded in one go. So you saw what all the kind of constituent parts were, which doesn't always happen.
Joe, you started out drumming when you were 10, and you're the creative force behind Metronomy, or have been in the past. Which was the hardest position in the band to learn, and why?
The hardest position,
Other than drumming.
and I introduced myself as the singer, and I play guitar, didn't I? And in fact, I'm terrible at the guitar, and I feel like, if people watch me and they can play guitar, they must be quite kind of shocked that I have the that I'm doing it. But so learning to be a guitarist is quite difficult, especially because they're quite kind of geeky people, and like they really care about what they do, whereas I don't care
Drummers can be geeky too. I would argue that drummers are at least equally as geeky as guitarists as a community of musicians.
Why don't you tell me one drummer stereotype that Joe does not embody?
Oh, he doesn't know how to twirl sticks with his fingers, as far as I know. Is that true?
I do know how to twirl sticks with my fingers.
There you go.
I love how you guys have been together for, over 5 years and are still discovering new things about each other.
That's the beauty of a long-term relationship.
With secrets.
All right, Joe, you've said that when the Arctic Monkeys moved to LA, it relaxed them. First, for people who don't know who they are, I'd love you to quickly explain. And then, since you live now in Paris, what has that done to you and the music you make as Metronomy?
Well, I'm trying to remember what I said about the Arctic Monkeys. I mean, I guess like for a band like them, it's like they're seen as this very English, like whatever, British kind of
But
band.
for people who are not Anglophiles, quickly, who are they?
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, that's a band from England who are kind of, I think they're quite successful in these parts now, aren't they? They're doing all right. But they were like this very hyped kind of English band who I think, that's kind of what they were, a very hyped English band. And at some point they decided to move to the sun in LA. And I think it just made them like, it's the same thing that I think I had when I went to Paris, that you just realize that the United Kingdom is not the center of the universe anymore. It once was. No, anyway, that's a joke. But you realize that living somewhere else, you have a much more relaxed impression of a kind of what being English is, or what being a kind of English band is, and I think that's what happened to them. And being in Paris, it's kind of you feel like your kind of central point is somewhere else, and it's quite nice.
Hey, this is Benga from Metronomy. You're listening to the interview show with Scott Wood.
Just one fight and just one anniversary, so I never thought you'd be the one to up and leave. You said our love was written in the stars, but I never paid attention to my charts. And now I see how quick you must want to forget, 'cause you left the ring, I bore you with your cigarettes. Well, I can finish up if you don't want them, and I can take the ring back where I got it from. I can love it or I can leave it. You said, honey, yeah, best believe it, 'cause you're a novice and I'm a tourist, and I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna do. Yeah, I can love it, I can leave it. You said, honey, yeah, best believe it, 'cause you're a Taurus, I'm Aquarius, and I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna do.
Never thought about it sentimentally. Never saw just how much you thought I meant to me. Never learned about it at university. Never thought about it cause you're the first you see. And I'm aware of the procedure, but normally it's me that leaves her. I guess I'm finished up, it's time to move on. I'm taking the ring back to where I got it from. I can love it or I can leave it. You said honey, yeah, best believe it. Cause you're a novice and I'm a tourist. I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna do. I can love it or I can leave it. You said honey, yeah, best believe it. Cause you're a novice and I'm a tourist. We've had problems with notorious for them. It's what your friends said now. You're inside with them. I've seen our stars and there's nothing aligning us. Cause I'm Aquarius, yeah, I'm Aquarius. I'm Aquarius, 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 I'm Aquarius.
Joe from Metronomy, and you're listening to the interview show with Scott Wood.
Welcome back to the interview show. This is Scott Wood, your host. You just heard I'm Aquarius. That's by a band called Metronomy off their latest record, Love Letters. I've got two members of the band here with me, and I'd love it if I could get one or both of you to talk about this track.
So this track, I think it was like the second or maybe the third track that was recorded for the record, and it was the first one that was done using a drum machine, and it was quite kind of, it was like a gauge of how successful the recording was gonna go, and I really like going into recording the record, like this is my favorite song that I had, and I was very excited about recording it, and I kind of, I don't know, I like it. I feel like it's it was like, has a kind of different feel to stuff that we've put out before, and it's a feel that I can get into, and I feel like there's maybe more there's more coming of that type of thing.
In the song, you repeat I'm Aquarius, the title and the chorus, a lot. Is there a limit when writing a song how often you can or should do that?
It's funny because like when we were recording that and when I was singing that, I was thinking like this is the right amount of times to repeat it, because it's like, it's kind of, you know, obviously if you repeat something that much, you're aware that you're repeating something that much, you know what I mean? It's not like a mistake. And like I think the idea was that it would be this kind of quite like relentless like statement. And then anyway, so since then you kind of realize some people think like it's, people are like, oh, I know you're Aquarius, shut up, or whatever. And so I think maybe, you know, if I was to, when it gets remastered or something in 20 years, maybe there'll be a version where it just says it like 4 times or something.
All right, so the big story behind this record is that you worked at East London's famously retro Toe Rag Studios. For people who don't know, what does this mean? Just quickly.
It just means it's like it's a kind of replica, or like a replica studio of like a 60s recording studio. So it's like the most modern thing as a CD burner.
Why was this the right move at this point in your career?
Well, was it? Was it? We don't know. Well, I think it's nice to keep yourselves on your toes, and it's nice to learn about recording in different ways, and I think everyone always has a kind of a perception of what you're going to do next, or like how you could capitalize on what you've done before, and I just think it's nice to try and ignore that and to try and do what you feel is going to be the most like interesting thing to do, and so yeah, it was just like a nice way of working, and it's hard to. It just changed how I was writing songs and how we recorded them, and so it was like a very good way to just shift how I think we were thinking about recording and how I was thinking about writing. Hey, this is Joe from Metronomy, and you're listening to the interview show with Scott Wood.
Benga from Metronomy. You're listening to the interview show with Scott Wood.
Welcome back to the interview show. This is Scott Wood, your host. You just heard Reservoir. That's off the fourth record by Metronomy called Love Letters. I've got two members of the band here with me, and I'd love it if one or both of you could talk about this track. Reservoir.
Big Chin. That's my second favorite song on the album. It's kind of like the coda to the album is my favorite section of it, and I think it's kind of a cool. I listened to it and I was sure they were gonna pick it as a single.
Yeah. What he said, it's cool.
So, Joe, you've said the most important thing is to let the songs be in charge. So I'd love it if you guys could talk about one song on the record where it was telling you what to do and bossing you around a bit.
It's like a kind
It's
of
like the music's talking through you.
It's the kind of I like to sometimes come out with these. You realize, like, when you're doing interviews, you need to have pull out quotes, and I thought that was quite a good one. Like, you know, let the songs do the talking or something.
For this record, you talked a lot about your decisions in terms of keeping yourself engaged and improving and challenging yourself. Sometimes when you do that, it leads to a little bit of stumbling.
There's always like one track on each record which is like the proper pain in the neck track, and like on the last one it was The Bay, and The Bay was The Bay, like, obviously was a single and like a really big song, but it was the most like arduous thing to get right. And with this album, the same thing happened to Monstrous, which is like the third track, I think, on the record. And yeah, there's like, I don't know, there's versions.
So many versions of that song.
Yeah. There's like versions with Oscar singing it, and there's versions kind of like these weird, like funked up versions of it, and
All different keys and stuff as well.
what was that?
Like, he tried it in a bunch of different keys as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And we actually play it live in a different key to the key you recorded it in.
Yeah.
I think it continues to be a tricky song to
It's
get
what,
hold of.
but those songs are always the ones which, like, in the process of making a record, like once they're done, that's when you feel like you've kind of finished the record, I think. So it's good to have a song like that on each record, a pain in the neck.
Joe Benga from Metronomy, thank you very much for being on my show. At the end of the show, I like the guest to pick one of their own songs and talk about it as I bring that music up.
Let's finish off today's show with a real a blast from the past. It's a song that's called I'm trying to work out which one would be good to fade up to. Oh yes, there it is. I hear it now. It's called This Could Be Beautiful, and it's from the very first Metronomy record, which is called Pit Pain, Pay the £5,000 You Owe. And it's a kind of nice instrumental electronic number that kind of gets lodged into your head, and I don't know, it has a good all-around feel to it. I can hear it now. It's perfect.
I seem to recall that I once heard this track used as betting music on this show on NPR called This American Life. And I was like, yeah, this is perfect, actually. So yes. It works as a standalone track, but also works very well as something kind of in the... Yeah.
All right, what was the name of the track again?
This Could Be Beautiful. Brackets, it is.
So we're going to listen to This Could Be Beautiful, brackets, it is. That's by a band called Metronomy off their first record, Pay the £5,000 You Owe. Guys, thank you very much for being on my show.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. The one last thing I'd love you to do is say, hi, my name is insert here. I'm in a band called Metronomy, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood, and sound maybe peppy like you enjoyed being on the show.
Hey! Sorry, what's the name of the radio?
It's The Interview Show.
With Scott
Wood.
Scott Wood. Wood is the surname. Hey, it's Joe from Metronomy, and you're listening to The Interview Show with Scott Wood.